a little on the psycho side. To make a long story short,
women, right?
Children in the neighborhood started going missing. And the neighbors suspected this woman because she was so strange.
Wow.
So when they investigated, they found that the children had been chopped up and their bodies disposed of in this well.
What?
In this thing?
In this, right here, in this basement.
You're kidding me.
No. Now, the thing is, there's really been no evidence of that. I can't really find any hard evidence, but you have to wonder how something like that ever got started if there wasn't some basis in truth.
Why has he not looked into this? And what is he talking about? He hasn't found arms or something floating down there? This is another black flag for me right here. When he asked if anyone died in the house, why did he leave with his dad falling down the steps? Why didn't he talk about the 7 murdered, chopped up kids that were thrown into his well?
I guess because, look, I'm not trying to defend every weird thing and asshole, but you would start off with the person that's closest to you and the one you know for a fact happened. But did they have actual evidence, like news stories of the kids being chopped up in there?
Well, that's weird because he mentioned that he's lived in this house for, it sounds like most of his life, and he's heard of this story.
He said 50 years. He said 50 years.
Never bothered to look into it. This is an older,
yeah.
This guy's older too, right, Rob? He looks like he's in the early 60s, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So wait, I'm getting a little bit confused as far as, because I haven't seen it, so I can't put the faces to the voices. So the person who is talking about the kids being chopped up is not the person who lived in the house.
That is the guy who lives in the house. That's
Greg.
Okay. We have no idea who's hosting this. He's just the host.
Yeah, he's just host.
He's like the Clint Eastwood of paranormal
host.
Investigators. He's the man with no name.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. He tips his hat and just walks on. Well, look, I wouldn't, if somebody asked me about like people who had died in the house that I lived in, I don't think that I would have started out with the kids that were chopped up in the sewer. I think I probably would have started off talking about my dad too.
You saved that. You saved like the sweetest part for last. Like that's like the craziest story out of all of them, right? Like you saved the most fucked up one for
I guess
Act 3.
You do have a point. You have a point because it's this guy who's making a documentary. So it's like, yeah, you're gonna want to start off with the most dynamic, sensational story. So yeah,
you got to work your way up to that one.
Yeah,
this started with a lamp. All right, this is about a lamp that went on, and now we're here. Why isn't he
so
filming
his light turned on? But did you know about these kids that got chopped up?
He should be filming his sewer hole, not his lamp. This makes no sense. That's a black flag. But what he does exactly. But like Drea said,
I think we had already addressed the black flag, but that's cool. Anytime he says the words black flag, it should come up. I love it.
That's an extra one. But like Drea said, he tips his hat to him as the man with no name, and they leave and they fly back home. But 3 weeks later, he flew himself, of course. 3 weeks later, host gets an email from Greggy, the lamp guy, and here he is reading it.
Really nice meeting you and your wife. Glad you could make it down here, and I really think it's cool that you flew your own plane. As I told you, I'm going out of the country for a couple of months and wanted to offer you the opportunity to stay in my home while I'm away. I know that you are doing a documentary about ghosts, and I just feel as though if you were to spend one night, you would realize that I'm being honest about everything. Either way, it's up to you, and please feel free to give me a call in the morning. It would be my pleasure. It might be 3 nights.
Okay.
In a haunted house.
Uh-huh.
Guess what? He's even letting us use his car.
Well, that is very nice of.
All right, the whole thing is a black flag right here.
What is going on?
Just do it now, please.
Please.
All right, who does this? Who just says, hey, you're the weird guy who makes entertaining zombie movies. I'm leaving the country. Would you like to have my house? I've met you once and took you to my basement. What is going on here?
I know you're making a movie. Maybe you want to come use my house.
Yeah, you can cook in it. It's like an Airbnb, but take my car as well.
Yeah. For maybe 3 nights.
And of course they go and they find his keys. He hides them somewhere in a tree or something. They look around his house again for a while.
Nice little scavenger hunt to find it. He's making things spooky for them.
Well, they've toured the house already the first time he was there, but they walk around his entire house. They look at all his stuff. And Greg's not here now, though,
weird.
so I don't know. They can just, be creeps.
I bet he is there somewhere hiding.
That's a black flag I had too. I was like,
Uh-huh.
what a great trap
Another one.
to kill someone. For both ends, if you're him, why are you trusting these complete strangers? This dude, he doesn't even know the guy's name, and he just has an email address. And from the other side,
I thought that we just didn't know his name. They don't know his name either?
Okay. If you were doing a documentary with someone and having a conversation, he says Greg's name quite a few times. You think the other guy might be like, okay, Henry or Herbie or whatever this guy's
Diane,
name is.
that's fine.
Herbie? It might be. But they
or just also call him Greg. Like, I don't see what happens if he calls him.
They can't both be Greg. No, this guy's Greg.
No, I think they could be.
Greg, Terry is his wife. The guy's name in the subtitles of the entire thing is Host. They eventually, as they're creeping around this guy's house like they want to do, they make their way back to the basement. And Host realize, he forgot to mention something to his wife regarding the basement.
I don't think you heard what he said about that, did you? No, he said that somebody put bodies down that thing. You believe him?
I don't know. I mean, people put bodies in weird places. That's not abnormal.
What? Yes, it is.
They do. They're
Fuck.
Well, she doesn't seem to care. No harm, no foul.
I'm going to call a black flag right there. That she's just like, I mean, it looks like she knows something about hiding bodies in weird places. So that's a black flag.
Going to explode.
Yeah.
One.
That's sketchy.
So he sets up cameras because he's going to prove ghosts exist. Duh. He sets up one thing that I'm not too sure about, though. And maybe one of our resident ghost hunters, Will Fox, Amelia, Brendan, maybe you can confirm this. He lays out 2 strips of toilet paper on a table in the shape of an X, and he puts a ball in the center. And here is this guy, Host. This is his logic behind that.
So I take the ball and I put it right in the middle, like that. And this camera is going to be positioned to get this. So the gist of it is, if there is a ghost in this room, I read that on the internet that ghosts are kind of like boys in the fact that if they see a ball, they just kind of want to move it. So that's what this is. I would kick the shit out of that.
Do you want to right now?
I kind of do.
Okay.
Kick the shit out of that.
Even though he says that, he doesn't seem too confident himself in this thing. He's kind of muttering off. But play the next soundboard clip because he said,
I would kick the shit out of that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about a lot of this right now.
Kickball. Yeah. I want to kick the shit out of a lot of things in this episode. But
ghosts are kind of like boys. They got to go after balls. What is he?
Yeah,
where did he get that logic from? It's so strange.
Right? That doesn't make any sense. That's what I can't
stand. Is that a black flag?
You know what?
I'm calling it.
I'm going to explode. So yeah, Will Fox, Amelia, Brandon, let us know. Are you laying out toilet paper and putting balls on them? And he also downloads an app on his phone, which gives him access to not only Greg's security camera, the famous lamp one. I also think he gets to look at his own things too. It's a great app. I don't know how he does this, but they retire for the night for this night 1 with the cameras going. And the results of night 1, they're pretty weak. They wake up and the basement door is open. Neither of them have any idea if they left it open or not. There were no cameras on the door, so they don't know. They just don't know. And the ball is still there too. Now, night two, things get more interesting when the smoke alarm goes off because the oven and the electric range are both on. Kind of creepy. And the basement door opens again too. And he initially asked his wife to call the fire department because all the oven was on, there was smoke everywhere, but he changes his mind and he makes what might be the most unbelievable emergency services call that I've ever heard.
Yeah, my wife just called. Can you fucking hear me? There's no fire, so you don't need to necessarily send a fire truck.
What?
But thank you so much.
What?
All right, bye.
What the hell's
okay.
going on? This sounds like
there's
he's on some
flags
kind of
there
drugs.
for you, Drea? Some
Oh,
flags?
so many black flags, please.
And no one responds. Look, if I'm taking that call, I would have sent somebody there after hearing that. Something's up in that house. I'm sending a cop at least to go
If
check
anything,
out.
to go and arrest that guy who sounds like he's clearly on drugs.
Yeah, if you get a call from a woman saying her house is on fire, then you get that guy going, "Oh, who the fuck?
Everything's fine.
Fucking fuck."
I would kick the shit out of that.
Yeah, he's talking like
hey,
that.
good one, Rob.
But no one
Kick the
shows
shit
up.
out of that too.
Nope, no fire department, no police. And the next day, when the smoke is cleared, host decides to do a little investigating into the story of that lady. Of that lady that was chopping up children and throwing them in this well. So, of course,
he's finally being a journalist?
Well, Greg hasn't done it for 50 years, so he takes a little initiative, and he, of course, requests some old newspapers from the archives.
Was there a specific date of a newspaper you would hope to find? Or?
I'd like everything you got from 1938 to 1942, let's say. 1942. Anything local would work. And you can just email those to me right now.
You sure can.
That is awesome. 365 times 3 equals 1,095 newspapers per year times what I say. Call it 4 years. 4 years. That's 4,380 newspapers.
That went so well. To be able to email that many newspapers in seconds, research methods are very streamlined
man.
now. That's really impressive, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I was very impressed by that.
Sure.
Try this out in your local town. Call your local archives and ask them to email you every newspaper from 1938 to 1942. And yeah, sure. Well, we got it right here. We'll just send you all the
Keep it local.
microfiche
Just keep it local.
I don't know that.
Yeah. It really
That is
matters.
that's a huge black flag to me. If any researcher is listening to this, they're pumping their fists, they're honking their horns, they're saying, "I'm going to explode." Yeah, it doesn't work like that. I'm pretty sure.
No, yeah, I've had to do like I used to work at an immigration law office, and I used to have to pull records. I had to go to the courthouse and ask for certain things. You don't get information all that easily.
Oh,
so when you
Drea,
ask for
Drea.
a certain range, yeah.
Drea, you just call them. Any town you're in, if you've flown your own plane there or not, you just call up the local office and say, "Yeah, why don't you email me all these things now?" And it's there.
All the records from this time to this time, and they'll be right there.
Well, he's got it all. And what he does find in these thousands of newspapers is this.
So, I've been looking through microfilmed newspapers for about 3 hours now. I finally found it. So here's the negative of the newspaper, dated March 21st, 1941. And you can see a picture of a house right here. You know, when I first saw it, I was like, that kind of looks like this house, but I can't be certain. So I brought it into Photoshop and inverted it to make it look normal. And there is absolutely no denying that the house in the picture is the house that I'm currently in right now, which is creepy when it's associated with the article that's written about it. Oh, God, I'm just kind of freaking out because, like, I'm looking at a photograph, 1941, of this house, and I point to this window, and that's the very window right here. This is this window right here. That's the same window.
Oh, the
All right,
same
so
window.
We get it. But that is some fast research. It only took him 3 hours to get through 4,000 papers and to find the house of Greg that he is in. But enough about the window. You guys want to know what he found?
No,
Yeah.
not
Well,
anymore.
let's hear. What did he find?
Now, here's the interesting part. So this story is similar to what Greg said, and he said that there's a woman that killed 7 people in this house, and I was just like, whatever at the first. But now this article's like backing that up, and it's truth. So I read the whole article, and the scariest part for me was coming back and noticing that there was a second picture associated with the article. Are you guys ready for this? Meet Ruth Blackwell, the crazy lady who killed 7 kids and disposed of their bodies. Used to live in this house, used to roam this same room, I'm sure. So this documentary that I thought was kind of a joke is actually taking a very interesting turn.
Ooh, yes.
What?
Ruth Blackwell. That's the
You know-
Blackwell Ghost? I thought the Blackwell Ghost, it was named after because it was a well down there. The Black Well.